Well, George, we just had a pretty exciting interview with our surprise guest that we've been teasing a little bit. I think we could talk about it now.
Sure, let's do it.
It's Rod Wheeler.
Yeah, Rod Wheeler. I think the starters is the significance of just getting the interview.
Yep.
I mean, Hannity, some people are saying,
Might be fired.
well, and this may be the interview that fired him.
Yeah.
And I think other people are also, Dobbs is maybe in trouble a little bit.
Well, anybody who says anything about him is immediately dubbed a conspiracy theorist who's been debunked.
Right. I mean, he has had 12 years on Fox as a crime analyst. So
And 5 or 10 years on the Metro PD force as a homicide detective.
yeah, so he does have the experience, and we don't want to give away any of the interview because there's 45 minutes of that. But we had a chance to talk to him. I would say, a preamble of about 15 minutes,
And after.
and then an epilogue of about 15. So we spent about an hour and 15 minutes with him.
I think he's a great guy. I really appreciate him spending the time with us, and I think he's doing the best he can, but, he's being... Look, they're not giving him any of the information. He's not being able to actually conduct a proper investigation, is basically what he said. But it's what he said on Fox.
Yeah, I mean, he dropped some bombs tonight. I mean, he watched the when Jason cuts it up. I think they're trying to. I'm not saying this is Rod Wheeler. I think they're using him as a way to, giving him breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
But
almost like a foil. They're putting him out there in the public, and I mean, look, they've made him. Basically, the press has maligned him.
yeah, I think they're definitely pushing this narrative of the old Seth walked home. He's stopped on all these park benches. They're sticking with the 89-minute phone call.
Mm-hmm.
And all I'm saying is this. Now I'm comparing this to DynCorp and a DynCorp operation. DynCorp always relies on the school play. So as long as you believe all human testimony, and we've gotten away with that before, we've gotten away with the school play a lot.
Yeah.
Why should we ever give up metadata?
Right.
And I say, if you're going to push forward the 89-minute call to Kelsey Malka, then you have to also underlay that with the metadata.
Well,
Where's the phone? Where's
Right.
the GPS?
right. Yeah. And they've been withholding that. They've been withholding that from him. He's been withholding that. I mean, he's not withholding it, but he doesn't have it to present to the public.
But I mean, if really, I mean, I've walked that 39 or 40-minute walk. If he really had this wandering drunk, random walk up and down, Georgia and down Harvard,
Right.
at
3 in the morning.
1:45
Right.
in the morning, I think a lot of people would have said, "Hey, man, could pull us. Do you need a ride?" Or cabs would have pulled over. There would have been people who would have.
Well, I just don't understand why if
They
Joe
would have remembered
Capone-
that.
Yeah. I just don't understand if you're drunk and the guy's like, "Hey, take a cab." Why would you want to walk home for a half an hour when you're drunk at night?
Well, it's more than half an hour. It's an 89-minute walk, according to the phone call.
make sense to
And he had time to make other phone calls.
Yeah.
So, not only, according to the official story, and that's communicating what's been given to him.
Yeah, he corroborated
He's
that.
saying that there are other phone calls as well in between him getting home.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're adding to the time it takes him to get home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's at least 89 minutes, and then now we're going to add a couple more phone calls. And again, geolocate those phone calls. Show me where he was.
That's a good point.
So
Well,
I can,
none of that kind of information has been released. None of the body cam footage, none of the, hospital information. No hard data has been released.
He did say tonight, he confirmed that it was MedStar that was
that was good.
was one of the hospitals, which I said this afternoon. But if they're only releasing that information to him, he doesn't know if there was a prior trip to
That's
Howard.
right. That's
We
right.
don't have the attending physician's report. He didn't know
He didn't even know about Dr. Sava or Dr. Altelyevich.
No one had brought that up to him. No one had brought up the gift of organs, with the consent form.
Nope.
That had not been
The
brought up.
Wan brothers didn't come into the scope of his investigation
The Wan
at all.
brother never
So,
mentioned.
I mean, he's really being restricted. He's looking through a keyhole, and that's not his fault. That's by design.
Right.
The people controlling the evidence.
Yeah, and I mentioned to him the Heather Podesta connection to the DC police force and the connection to the mayor and the Wasserman, Stephen Wasserman being the assistant attorney general,
Yeah.
and how that may be a conflict of interest.
No, he was aware of all that.
He was aware of all that, but it just seemed like he had been just given a few more sprinkles of information from the lead detective. He didn't disclose who the lead detective was,
Yeah.
but
It's almost like they're using him. Like he's like push him out to the public and make him look like a jerk on the news. And
yeah, I think he's been set up to fail.
yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
If I was in his shoes, I would be very frustrated.
He seemed a lot less frustrated than you would imagine somebody in that position would be.
Yeah, especially since he's taken a lot of heat.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But
I mean, listen, I think it was a great interview. The other interesting
it
thing
was a great interview.
The other interesting thing that he said that really struck me was that he was never allowed to speak to any of the family or the witnesses or anybody without that PR guy Brad Bauman around.
Right.
What the hell is that guy doing there?
Well, it is almost an MWW operation. I mean, it almost looks like when the missiles are going off at some event in whatever part of the world. It's almost script one, cut to the Patriot missiles firing off.
Yeah.
Cut to the defense expert talking about what should happen
How
next.
beautiful they look
Yeah.
launching.
And then when somebody comes up with some ground reporting, this reminds me of Syria, where Serena Shim's saying, well, actually, I'm standing right here, and the trucks are coming from Turkey, and then they're firing the sarin gas.
They don't want to listen to that.
Yeah, and it's like dismissed because it's not a part of the narrative.
Right.
And, I think we talked about Brendan Warren.
Yeah,
who-
he hadn't seen him.
the assistant manager who supposedly puts the guy in the car. 4 days I spent over there talking to Joe Capone.
Nobody's seen this guy.
Nobody's seen
He's
it.
got to be hanging out with Eric Braverman.
Wouldn't it be one of those things where you could go talk to the people who work there and say, here's what he looks like, and go over and get it? He wasn't allowed to talk to any of the detectives. So 5 detectives respond to the scene. He's not allowed to talk to...
Not the detectives, just the officers that respond.
Oh, the officers. I mean, he wasn't allowed to talk to any of the officers.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. And also he said that, well, we're giving away a lot of the interview right now. So, the thing is, it might be a little while until it goes up because obviously Rod Wheeler is under a cease and desist, basically a gag order. So once it's edited, it's got to get approval from his lawyer. So we can't really say when it's going to go up. But
Well, I still think it's going to be worth watching the interview because it's going to be in his own words.
Yeah.
And you won't have to, rely on our interpretation
Right.
of what he says. You can evaluate exactly what he says.
and I liked seeing the expression on his face when we asked him certain questions about certain people.
Yeah, and the surprise that I came away with was the WikiLeaks questions, and it just had not been explored, and no one had briefed him on that or helped him with that.
Yeah.
And of course, that's the part that I have spent the most amount of time with. And,
Right.
And there was just things that he did confirm, though, and I don't know if this breaks your. And this has already been reported, but there was definitely email sent from Seth Rich's laptop.
Well, he said he had information that made him
To
think
Gavin
that.
McFadden.
He doesn't have the laptop. He said that. He said he hasn't retracted anything. He hasn't, he basically stuck by his original word. He believes that there was email sent. He has information that he believes.
But the first thing he said is this a credible source? And he believes that FBI agent is a credible source.
Still, it's human testimony. It's not the email. It's not the laptop. He hasn't been shown the laptop. Nothing's really changed from that standpoint from when he appeared on Fox. But we'll put the interview up as soon as we possibly can, and I know everybody's going to enjoy it. I enjoyed speaking to him. He's a very nice guy.
Very nice man, and extremely very polished, and he had to, unlike us, which we're coming from the angle of this is about the presidency. This is about
Yeah, he wasn't about the politics of it
yeah.
at all.
It's about it's either Schiff and Schumer with the Russia hack, or it's leak, hack or leak, hack or leak.
He was straight on murder investigation.
But my question to him was, when does the public's right to know exceed the family need for privacy? And that's why I always say metadata, because metadata never made anybody look bad.
Look, that
Yeah.
family need for privacy thing is an excuse. Why does the family have a PR rep what's the guy's affiliation with the DNC?
Well, I think he's comes from the MWW line of PR, which is crisis PR management. There's many connections.
It's them controlling the narrative. That seemed clear.
But the point I make is, in some cases, let's just say a wild example. my son was calling, at 4 in the morning. He was calling some kind of 1-900 number. Well, okay, so what? He's calling a 1-900 number, or he called some.
Do those still exist?
I don't know if they do or not. I've never called one. But I'm just saying that would be the worst thing that could come out.
Right.
Because it wouldn't be the actual tape transcript. I don't want to hear the tape
Yeah,
transcript.
metadata of the call.
Just
Right.
where was the
Who it
exact
calling?
physical location
Oh,
and
no.
what was the length of the call?
Can we discuss
And
that
who was it
name
to and
that
from?
that he brought up of the mysterious person that maybe that's not important.
I think they're definitely, if it's McCabe running this information operation or Evan McMullen or whoever it is, they're definitely trying to drop names to
Misdirect.
deflect and misdirect. I mean,
Yeah.
if I hear one more person tell me Donna Brazil is behind all this, I'm gonna, run into the night screaming
No,
because
he didn't say that.
he
not
didn't.
to mislead the
he-
audience.
no, he did not say that. I think there are people who have said that she's somehow involved in all this, and we heard that from him tonight. He heard that rumor.
Well, she was obviously too busy handing out the questions to.
Yeah.
the
But I mean,
debate.
it's obvious. I mean, if the Hillary's MO is always to hide behind Donna Brazil, and I just
and to blame people for whatever it is that she's doing.
yeah, and Donna Brazil has nothing to do with this. I mean, I don't. Or if it is, it's
Nothing. But
if it is, it's just a dodge. Again, it's a human shield, and I don't.
I think there's just too much misinformation right now for us to rely on anything other than metadata.
Metadata.